To improve your electrical cost estimating skills, firstly, gather comprehensive project information. Review project blueprints, specifications, and all other relevant documents meticulously. Visit the job site to thoroughly assess the conditions and proactively identify potential challenges that may arise during the project. Determine the complete scope of work, making sure to include all materials, labor, equipment, and required permits. Secondly, focus on accurately estimating labor costs. Calculate the number of labor hours needed based on the defined scope of work. Determine the hourly labor rate for your electricians, considering their experience and union rates, if applicable. Add a markup to cover overhead, profit, and insurance costs related to labor. Thirdly, dedicate time to estimating material costs. Create a detailed materials list that is based directly on the project specifications. Obtain current quotes from various suppliers for all necessary materials, including wire, conduit, fixtures, and devices. Factor in the cost associated with delivery and handling of these materials to the job site. Fourthly, carefully estimate equipment costs. Identify any specialized equipment that will be required for the project, such as lifts, generators, or testing equipment. Estimate the costs involved in either renting or purchasing this equipment, and also consider any transportation or setup costs associated with its use. Fifthly, estimate other costs that might be easily overlooked. Include costs for all required permits, inspections, insurance, and any other fees that are associated with the project. Factor in a contingency fund to cover unexpected expenses or changes that may occur during the project. Sixthly, calculate your profit margin. Determine the desired profit margin that you aim to achieve for the project. Add the profit margin to the total estimated costs to arrive at the final bid price that ensures profitability. For accurate estimating, use a costing spreadsheet or software to track and calculate costs efficiently. Breaking down the project into smaller tasks makes estimating easier and more manageable. Always be realistic in your estimates. Don't underestimate or overestimate costs. Aim for accuracy to avoid profit loss or customer dissatisfaction. Consult with experienced electricians to get input and ensure that your estimates are reliable. Regularly review your estimates to identify areas for improvement and ensure competitiveness in the market. The National Electrical Contractors Association, or NECA, offers resources and support for electrical contractors. Independent Electrical Contractors, or IC, is another organization that provides valuable resources for the electrical industry. You can also refer to the IE Estimation Guide for Electrical Systems for detailed guidance. To elaborate further on gathering project information, it is vital to obtain a complete set of project blueprints or drawings. These blueprints provide a visual representation of the electrical systems that need to be installed or modified. Scrutinize the architectural, structural, and electrical drawings to gain a comprehensive understanding of the project scope. Pay close attention to symbols, legends, and notes on the blueprints, as they contain essential information about the electrical systems. Review the project specifications thoroughly to identify the specific requirements for materials, equipment, and installation methods. The specifications outline the quality standards, performance criteria, and regulatory compliance requirements that must be met. Take detailed notes on any unique or challenging aspects of the project, such as tight spaces, difficult access points, or specialized equipment requirements. These notes will help you accurately estimate labor hours and material costs. Visiting the job site is an essential step in gathering project information. It allows you to assess the existing conditions, identify potential challenges, and gain a better understanding of the project scope. Walk through the entire site, paying close attention to the areas where electrical work will be performed. Look for any obstructions, hazards, or existing infrastructure that may impact the installation process. Take photographs and videos of the site to document the existing conditions and provide visual aids for your estimating process. It is important to determine the complete scope of work, including all materials, labor, equipment, and required permits. Break down the project into individual tasks or phases, such as wiring, conduit installation, equipment mounting, and testing. Estimate the labor hours required for each task based on the complexity, accessibility, and skill level required. Create a detailed materials list for each task, including the quantity, size, and type of each item. Identify any specialized equipment that will be needed for each task, such as lifts, generators, or testing equipment. Determine the permits and inspections that will be required for the project, and factor in the associated costs. Moving on to estimating labor costs, the calculation of labor hours is a critical aspect. Accurately estimating the labor hours required for each task is essential for developing a competitive and profitable bid. Consider the complexity of the task, the accessibility of the work area, and the skill level required. Use historical data from similar projects to estimate the labor hours required for each task. Break down the project into smaller tasks to make estimating easier and more accurate. Consult with experienced electricians to get their input on the labor hours required for each task. It is equally important to determine the hourly labor rate for your electricians, considering their experience and union rates, if applicable. The hourly labor rate should include wages, benefits, and payroll taxes. Research the prevailing wage rates in your area to ensure that your labor rates are competitive. Factor in the cost of workers' compensation insurance and liability insurance when determining your hourly labor rate. If you employ union electricians, you will need to adhere to the union's wage and benefit requirements. The markup should cover overhead, profit, and insurance costs related to labor. Overhead costs include expenses such as office rent, utilities, and administrative salaries. Profit is the amount of money you want to earn on the project. Insurance costs include workers' compensation insurance, liability insurance, and other types of insurance. A typical markup for labor costs is between 20% and 30%. Now let's focus on material costs. Creating a detailed materials list is a fundamental step. A comprehensive and accurate materials list is essential for obtaining accurate quotes from suppliers and avoiding costly errors during the project. The materials list should include the quantity, size, type, and manufacturer of each item. Organize the materials list by task or phase to make it easier to track costs and manage inventory. Review the project specifications and blueprints carefully to ensure that all required materials are included in the list. Next, obtain current quotes from various suppliers for all necessary materials, including wire, conduit, fixtures, and devices. Getting multiple quotes from different suppliers ensures that you are getting the best possible prices on materials. Provide suppliers with a detailed materials list and request written quotes that are valid for a specific period of time. Compare the quotes carefully, considering factors such as price, quality, availability, and delivery time. Factor in the costs associated with delivery and handling of these materials to the job site. Delivery costs can vary depending on the distance, weight, and size of the materials. Handling costs include expenses such as unloading, storage, and transportation of materials on the job site. Consider the cost of fuel, labor, and equipment when estimating delivery and handling costs. Negotiate with suppliers to reduce delivery and handling costs whenever possible. When estimating equipment costs, identifying specialized equipment is the first step. Determine the equipment needs and if specialized equipment such as lifts, generators, or testing equipment are required. Consider factors such as the height of the work area, the availability of power, and the need for testing and certification. The next step is to estimate the costs involved in either renting or purchasing this equipment, and also consider any transportation or setup costs associated with its use. Get quotes from rental companies and suppliers for the cost of renting or purchasing the equipment. Compare the costs of renting versus purchasing, considering the length of time the equipment will be needed and the cost of maintenance and storage. Factor in the costs of transportation, setup, and training when estimating equipment costs. Be sure to estimate other costs by including all required permits, inspections, insurance, and any other fees that are associated with the project. Research the permit and inspection requirements for the project and factor in the associated costs. Obtain quotes from insurance providers for the cost of liability insurance and workers' compensation insurance. Include costs for items such as performance bonds, security, and waste disposal. In order to protect against the unexpected, it is important to factor in a contingency fund to cover unexpected expenses or changes that may occur during the project. A contingency fund is a reserve of money that is set aside to cover unforeseen expenses or changes that may arise during the project. A typical contingency fund is between 5% and 10% of the total project cost. Use the contingency fund to cover unexpected expenses such as material price increases, labor cost overruns, or changes to the scope of work. Finally, calculate your profit margin by determining the desired profit margin that you aim to achieve for the project. The profit margin is the percentage of revenue that remains after all expenses have been paid. The desired profit margin will depend on factors such as the risk of the project, the competition in the market, and the company's financial goals. A typical profit margin for electrical contracting projects is between 10% and 20%. Once a desired profit margin has been defined, add the profit margin to the total estimated cost to arrive at the final bid price that ensures profitability. To calculate the final bid price, add the desired profit margin to the total estimated costs, including labor, materials, equipment, permits, insurance, and contingency. The final bid price should be competitive in the market while also ensuring that the company achieves its desired profit margin. Review the final bid price carefully to ensure that it is accurate and complete before submitting it to the customer. In summary, effective electrical cost estimating involves a systematic approach that encompasses gathering project information, estimating labor and material costs, accounting for equipment and other expenses, and calculating a profit margin. Using costing spreadsheets or software enhances efficiency and accuracy. Breaking down projects into smaller tasks simplifies the estimation process. Realism is key to avoiding underestimation or overestimation, ensuring customer satisfaction and profitability. Consulting with experienced electricians provides valuable insights and enhances the reliability of estimates. Regular review of estimates allows for continuous improvement and competitiveness. Resources such as the National Electrical Contractors Association, Independent Electrical Contractors, and the IEE Estimation Guide for Electrical Systems offer additional support and guidance for electrical contractors. These guidelines provide a solid foundation for developing accurate and competitive bids, leading to successful and profitable electrical contracting projects. Thoroughness and attention to detail throughout the estimating process are crucial for success.